Hey everyone! Today we're going to be doing a review of algebra. So you can title this, if you're putting it in your notebook, Algebra 2, because this is Algebra 2, and Algebra Review. Alright, so I'm just going to do a few different kinds of examples. The first one I want to do is a solving for x. So one example of solving for x would be 7 times, in parentheses, 3x minus 2 equals 4x plus 1. So when you're solving for x, remember our goal is to get the x's on one side and everything else on the other side. You could move stuff around, but because of these parentheses and we have two x's, we're going to have to do some distributing. So 3 times 7 is 21x, 7 times negative 2 is negative 14, and then we bring everything down. It's going to be really important that you are showing your lines of work vertically and organized. So start that habit now so you get full credit. It doesn't matter which way we move stuff around, but because this is a bigger x, I'm going to subtract 4x. So 21x minus 4x is 17x. And then I'm going to add 14 at the same time, and I get 15. Then to get x by itself, I divide by 17, so x is going to equal 15/17. And I need to ask myself, can I reduce that? And the answer is no. That is my answer. I do not want you to give me a decimal or a mixed number. I want fractions or improper fractions. Let's do one more example of solving for x. So if I have 2x plus 1 over 5 equals 3x minus 2 over 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. So then that's going to make the 5 over here cancel. Here, I'll do it in two different colors. So that'll make those cancel and leave a 5 over here. So on the right side, I'll have 5 times 3x minus 2, because at the same time, I'm going to multiply by 4. And on the right side, 4 divided by 4 is 1, so that cancels. And then I have a 4 left on the left side. So I've got 4 times 2x plus 1. If that's at all confusing, come to flex time and I can clear that up in a very hot sec. So now, again, I'm going to distribute. So 4 times 2x and 5 times 3x minus 2. I'm going to move my x's to the right because the 15x. And now, that doesn't matter, but I'm a positive person. I want to keep things positive. So adding 10, I get 14 on the left, and 15 minus 8 is 7x. And I actually wrote a really nice problem, because to get x by itself, we're going to divide by 7, and we are left with 2. And that's it. And now it's really easy to check your work for these problems. I'm going to take that 2 and I'm going to substitute it into the original on both sides and see if I get the same answer. All right, let's do a different kind of problem. Let's do fractions. I'm going to put in some hearts because we love fractions. Or at least we're going to accept fractions because I'm going to give them to you many times. So let's just remember the rules of fractions. Let's do 7/8 minus 3/7. And hopefully you remember, when you want to subtract fractions, you want a common denominator. So adding and subtracting, you must have a common denominator. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite my fractions with a similar denominator. So what is divisible by both 8 and 7? And a really easy way to go about it is just by multiplying. So 8 times 7 is 56. And so here for this fraction, I did 8 times 7. So now I have to do 7 times 7. And for this fraction, I did 7 times 8. So here I have to do 3 times 8. And now I can just subtract, and the denominator stays the same. So this is going to be 25 over 56. and we are done. That can't be simplified. Let's do a multiplication, just to make sure you remember multiplication. Multiplication is, the most straightforward, in my opinion. Please don't use an x for multiplication because this is algebra and x is a variable. So you can go about this two ways. You can either multiply it out and go 1 times 2 is 2. And 2 times 3 is 6. But then you have to make sure you reduce. And 2 6 reduces to 1/3. Your answer always needs to be in simplest form. Or another way to do it is right off the start when you have 1/2 times 2/3. You can kind of be like, well, if I'm multiplying these together, 2 divided by 2 is going to end up being 1. And then just multiply. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 3 is 3. So either way works, whatever you're best comfortable. All right, let's do a dividing problem real quick. So 1/2 divided by 2/3. So now this is different with division. Hopefully you remember from, honestly, I don't remember when you learned this. You keep the first number, so 1/2 stays there. You change to multiplication and you flip. You do the reciprocal of the second fraction. So this is now going to be 3/2. And now we just multiply. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 2 is 4, and there ain't no more. We're done. All right, the last thing I would like to talk to you about today is basic factoring. We're going to get into more in-depth factoring, and you did learn more in-depth factoring of quadratics and stuff. Quadratics. But I want to review the basic stuff because this is what students mess up the most. So, an example is 7x plus 49. Okay, so when you're factoring, you're asking yourself, what is this term and this term, what do they both have in common? And you're going to factor or divide out that number. So 7 and 49 are both divisible by 7, so I'm going to pull that out. And then we replace it with parentheses, so 7 divided by 7 is 1. I'm just going to leave the x. There is a 1 here, but we don't put it there. 49 divided by 7 is 7. And that's it. And again, you can check your work by redistributing. 7 times x is 7x, and 7 times 7 is 49. One more example, slightly harder. 4x squared minus 38x. So again, look at your first term, look at your second term. What do they both have in common? Well, they both have an x, and they're both even, so they're both divisible by 2. So I'm going to divide out a 2x. Whatever you're dividing out, you put on the outside, and then what's left on the inside of the parentheses is, divisor? It's been a while. So 4x squared divided by 2x, 4 divided by 2 is 2, x squared divided by x is x, and then negative 38 divided by 2 is negative 19, and x divided by x is 1, so I am done. And that is it. So that's your algebra review. If you're still confused, let me know, and I'd be happy to help.